Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to our conversation, Wisdom Talks, Wisdom Speaks. I am here with my two very dear friends, Cindy and Erica. If you didn't see our last video, the way we all met each other is we all wrote books from the same company. And we decided that we would get together and do weekly calls to share some of our insights, some of our wisdom that we've gathered along the way. And today's topic is going to be about fear and a lot of the things that are going on in the world today and in our daily lives. So before we get deep into the conversation, which I promise, we are going to get deep, I would love for my two friends to introduce themselves. Cindy, why don't you begin?
Hi there, Cindy Gunraj. I am the author of Winning Your Parents' Approval for Divorce, 7 Practices to Leave Your Marriage with Their Blessing. And I am a certified divorce coach, life coach, speaker, and teacher. And I would just say lover of life.
Awesome. Thanks, Cindy. Erica?
Good morning, everybody. Yes, my name is Erica Lemke Pembroke, and I wrote Feel Sexy Again, the Ultimate Guide to Reclaiming Your Sexual Confidence. I'm a sexual confidence coach and life coach, and I'm actually studying to be a certified sex coach and clinical sexologist, cross fingers, graduation in spring of 2021. So turning 50 has been a huge endeavor, and I feel like, you know what, it's never too late for anything that we want to do in life, and I think I'm definitely the poster child for that. I'm just going for it.
For sure. That sounds very exciting, Erica. Sounds like a lot of sexy and sexiness and good stuff. So thank you for sharing. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Denise Anderson. I live here in Canada. The first book that I wrote was called Small Town Divorce. So as a life coach and spiritual mentor, I was helping people work their way through really dramatic experiences where you're out in the public and people have a lot of thoughts and opinions about your decisions and things that have gone in your life. So learning to handle that criticism and that judgment. And the new level that I've taken my practice to is more of a spiritual mentor. So helping people understand the deeper concepts of things that are going on, more from like a soul level, a spirit level. Because if in my way of thinking and experiencing is if we don't go beyond like the physical and our mind, we just end up continuing to swirl in all that, not so fun stuff that's going on in our lives. So that's where I'm at. So ladies, if you're ready, let's dive into today's topic about fear. So obviously there isn't anybody out there that is a stranger to fear, being fearful, especially right now with COVID, with school starting again in September, and just the intense uncertainty about what's going on in the world today. It has elicited and brought to the surface a lot of fear for a lot of people. And, where would you guys like to begin? I know we've got tips and tools and techniques. I know for myself, speaking about fear, even today, like getting on this call, I can tell the progress that I've made, because something like this would have scared the crap out of me to the degree that I just wouldn't do it. And that's what I find that fear does in people's lives. We conjure up an idea of how something's going to be, and we're not afraid of what's actually happening. We're afraid of what could happen. And the mind is just great at listing off a million things that could go wrong. And then by the end of it, you're just like, screw it. Like, why would I even take the chance? I don't want to have to put myself through all of that anxiety, all of that stress, the fear, the jitters, the heart pounding. Like, why even bother? So that's where I feel this topic is important, because with that amount of fear, people aren't living their best lives. They aren't living lives of joy and happiness and excitement and creativity. Yeah, so that's where I'm finding that this fear has gotten to. So ladies, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Erica, I saw a thought coming up. You want to go for it?
Yeah, what came to mind for me was we are such creatures of habit, right? So we like the comfort zone. We do not like the unknown. We don't like going out into the world of discomfort, right? Because we are creatures of habit. We like to know how our daily routine is going to go. And this will actually keep us in situations that are maybe not particularly healthy or dysfunctional, because we can, it's like we can set our clock by it, right? We know what's going to happen, even if it's not the best thing for us, but because we have that sense of knowing, it keeps us in that place of like, I know who I am, even if it's in a place that is maybe not the best for us. So going out of that is really scary for, I think, most of us. And the bravery that it takes and the courage that it takes to go out of that and go into the blackness, into the dark, right? To just jump in and say, oh my God, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm going to think about divorce. I mean, I knew for a long time it was my plan along the way, but I was so fearful of what was going to lie on the other side that it held me back from making a lot of decisions. And I think, that's just one example of a gazillion, right? But we don't know what's going to happen. So we'd rather just stay in our little comfy, comfort zone right here and just kind of stay here until there's something that kind of just snaps, at least for me, that it's like, I can't not make a change. And I think that's the hard thing for a lot of us is like, what does it take to make that jump, to make that next step into getting to a place where it feels uncomfortable, but you also know that it's something that you must do for yourself.
Great point. Yeah.
Yeah, Erica, when you were talking about that dark period, what came to mind was that dark night of the soul. And Pastor Michael Beckwith of Agape Church talks about that. And I have definitely felt that. I have learned a lot of my lessons through suffering and pain. And it's like I had reached points, particularly in my marriage that I'm speaking of, where the suffering was so much that I was ready to do something different. And I think while I feel like we can learn through joy, pain is also our friend, because it shows us, that, hey, wake up, pay attention. I'm trying to tell you something. Something is shifting here, and please pay attention to me. And what I find is, if when I was in immense suffering, I would listen. But if the suffering was like, okay, it was easy to get distracted. It was easy to go on to the next task, as wife, as daughter-in-law, as, so it's like, I think for me is, that immense suffering, and then I was ready to do something different. And then it's like you go through the waves, and part of that is the dark night of the soul, where I tell clients when I work with them, it's like your life, picture a mirror that is being shattered and pieces are dropping and your life is rearranging. But guess what? You're taking control of each piece and placing it to make this beautiful mosaic of this new life that you're creating.
I love that analogy. Yeah, great analogy. And, I know we've all been through a divorce. We're not advocating divorce, and divorce isn't the only change, obviously, that people go through. I love what you said, Cindy, about the learning from suffering. So that seems to be the way of the world, right? In the beginning, we suffer a lot. We go through a lot of pain. And what I want people to know is that we can actually get to a point where we don't learn from that, where it doesn't take suffering and pain, that we've had enough experiences where two things, where we have taken the initiative to step out of the fear, that saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. So in the beginning, that is what has to happen. Like when I shared today that this wasn't fearful for me today, going live, doing this speaking, but I've done it enough times where I felt the rot inside of my stomach and I did it anyway. I was up there on that stage, or I was in that interview. Two things where we have horrified. Oh, is that your voice playing? I can hear my voice on the Zoom. So in the beginning, that is what has to happen. You guys hear that? Like when I share. It's playing on Zoom. Is it coming from your phone, Cindy? Got it? Awesome.
I think it's coming from the Facebook, so I had to turn it off.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. So again, it just feels so good to be able to handle things with ease. So yeah, the first thing was feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So you go through it enough times where it's like your brain realizes I'm not going to die. Nothing horrible, right? That's where the mind takes us. You go through all the what ifs. Well, what if this happens? And then what if this happens? And if you play that out, you usually get to the point where it's, what you're ultimately afraid of is you're afraid of dying. So you do it enough times, you realize that's not going to happen, and that you can get to a point where the things that you are doing in life, you are making changes, you are growing into someone new, but it doesn't have to be fearful. It doesn't have to be stressful, and it doesn't have to cause a lot of agony and pain. Yeah.
I love that, because really that's when I think about that whole thing about, feeling it and doing it anyway, right? Is it courage is what is it? It's the triumph of fear, not the absence of it. Something like that. Nelson Mandela said but having that courage is like, we're still going to have the fear. I think that we get in this space where I'm feeling less than because I am fearful, or people are going to judge me because I am afraid. And I think that's a universal thing to feel that fear, right? It's what we do with it though, right? It can immobilize us, or it can also catapult us to taking action, right? So it's a fight, flight, or freeze, that whole, that physiological response that we have, right? So, and really then it's a matter of, okay, what do we do next? And staying in that sense of like, because I've been immobile. I've been where I don't feel like I'm like in that liminal stage, right? I'm in the doorway and I'm like frozen. I can't make a move. I can't go forward. I can't go back. I'm just there. And I think a lot of us feel like that, especially now in this climate right now. It's like a lot of us are immobilized. And how do we walk through the door, make that step on the other side to better ourselves better for ourselves, our families, our communities? How do we make that first step in order to start to create that change in a positive way?
Mm-hmm. I was contemplating that before our call today, obviously knowing we were speaking about fear. And one of the thoughts that came to me is we cannot diminish the fear in the world if we don't diminish it within ourselves first. A fearful person is not going to go out and create less fear, because something happens and your fear, those fearful thoughts and that fearful emotion and actions will come out of you. So yes, I love the idea of less fear in our families and in our community, and then ultimately in the world, but it is going to start with every single individual working through their fears and their doubts and all of that before we can make that huge impact in the world, where we bring a less fear energy from our own bodies into the world. And I'd love for us to all share some tips, but Cindy, what have you got thinking there?
Yeah, so much. I mean, just listening to you ladies, I feel like, when I think back to how I face fear, it's gotten easier and easier for me as I understand who I am. And because I find, like, when I was immobilized before, let's say in my marriage, I was crippled by the fear and I didn't understand it was fear. And so there's like a point where it's like I felt unconsciously doing something on automatic, and not having knowing that I was suffering. Yeah, I didn't know. so you have that stage, and it's like then it got to the point, as I mentioned, where I feel, the divine higher spirit, whatever you all want to call it, was actually then guiding me to make a different choice. It was actually bringing the insight for me to, see that I was actually suffering and actually come into a place of, well, could there be a different way of operating? Mm-hmm. And when I actually started diving into self-inquiry like we talked about in our last show, that's when like the floodgates opened up. And it was like I started meeting fear on a level playing ground. And instead of being gripped by it right away, I could come with curiosity, and then with curiosity, then I was able to trace like, well, why am I fearful? You know, why is this bothering me so much? Why am I immobilized? And then I would go from that to, what is this teaching me?
Right.
You know, what is the gift? Because when I work with clients, I say, you know, we can look at our challenges. We could be grateful for them. If you can't be grateful for them, then look at what's the opportunity here. Maybe the opportunity is to increase your independence and own your own opinions and your own voice as a woman. Maybe it is to develop more patience with your children, you know. But the point is, it's getting, it's lighting the path, if you will, and having the person shift their focus from the fear, acknowledging it, obviously, and witnessing that and holding the space, but shifting them to, oh, you know, remember, here's your goal. You know, you want to have more ease. You want to have a deeper relationship with your child. How are we going to get there? Yeah. So that's, I know I answered some tips like that. Those are some of the tips too, that I found has just been helpful for me. Is taking that pause and understand what are the sensations going on that fear brings up, and walking that path to get me out of that, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. You know, something that you said about the fear comes from also a knowing that we are being asked to make a decision and to make a change, and we can suppress that, which then just adds to the fear, because it's like, it doesn't go away. We are here. We are here to learn lessons. We are here to evolve. We are here to grow. Nobody gets out of that. No matter how fearful you get, no matter how bad things get, you don't get out of it. And I know we find very creative ways to get out of it. You know, I'll take a different job. I know this isn't what I really want to do, but I'll just take this job because I can play small. I don't have to put myself out there. I don't have to be concerned about people's judgments or thoughts about me, whatever excuses we're making. But eventually you come face to face where it's like, you can't run and you can't hide anymore. So it's like, just take that moment to go, okay, I surrender. Like, I surrender. I get it. There's something different. I need to step into something more. And, you know, for me, that, you know, we were talking about divorce, but again, for me, it's been my career. It's been what I choose to do, because again, it's being okay with who you are and what you have to share and what your gifts are. And can you really own that? And when you've really embodied that, it's like, now what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that gift that you have here, rather than playing small and doing all these things where you don't have to put yourself out there? So again, it lends itself to fear. One of the tips I know that I wanted to share, especially with what's going on right now, and I had to share this with my mother. God love her so much. But what she was becoming very fearful around this whole COVID thing. Granted, so, and the tip I gave her was, please stop watching the news, or watch it like way less. Social media, you know, your exposure, like we're talking about some real day-to-day, hour by hour things that we're doing. I call them fear feeders. I get people to look at how are you surrounding yourself? Who are you surrounding yourself with that is actually feeding the fear that you have? So if we want to get rid of it, we have to stop by feeding it. Stop feeding it. So watch the news a lot less, if at all. And everyone's like, how can you not watch the news? We find out what's going on in the world. You don't need to watch it 24/7. You're going to find out. So the news and social media, you know, being on there, who do you have on there as friends? What are they posting? What are you actually taking in on a daily basis that feeds your fear? So that's a tip I wanted to give. Just be cognitive of those types of things.
I love that. Thank you, Denise. That's, I mean, alongside that, I was thinking about control, right? And how little we have in the world. We think we have all this control about everything, right? And I think that's what makes it so freaking crazy, is that I mean, even with the traffic, right? We wanted, have control over, going faster, or that light that just changed, why couldn't it just stay green for me to pass by? I mean, all of those things, right? Until we realize that really what we have control over is our emotions, our thoughts, how we react to something. I mean, it's so basic, and yet it's such a hard thing, I think, for most people to do, right? Is to take accountability and responsibility for what we do and how we occur in the world. Because if we can do that, that sets off like this ripple effect, I think, out in the world, right? And as hard as it is, and man, I'll tell you, I mean, it's been a journey, big time, to try and like figure out that, oh my God, I have no control over anything. My teenage daughter,
what? We don't have control over our children? Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Don't tell me that.
And I think with the fear tip, I mean, and that just makes me think of like, when I think about, we really had a hard time with her for several years earlier in her teenagehood. And I took it all on myself, that whatever she was doing was a direct reflection on me, on my parenting, on me as a person, as a mother, as this nurturer. And it really took me a long time to get out of that sense of like, oh my God, what she's doing is affecting me. What I realize is she's doing her own thing. I'm being affected by it because I'm choosing to feel this way. So being able to get myself out of that thinking that, it's that ruminating thinking, right? We're chewing on the cud with the same damn thing. It's like, she's making me feel like this, so now I feel unworthy. People are going to judge me. My identity is being threatened. And once I realized that what I was doing to myself, and I was doing it to myself, it was just like this weight that was just completely lifted off of not only my shoulder, but my spirit and my soul. That it was like, oh boy, okay, take a deep breath. I'm gonna take one right now. Because I can feel that, I know that I'm not alone in that, for sure, especially when it comes to our children and the choices that they're making. We want to protect them. We want to coddle them. We want to protect them from everything, especially what's going on in the world right now, right? Yeah. And I would say the only thing that we can really do is love and support and express that, and know that they have a safe place, that we need to feel that sense of safety within ourselves for whatever that is. And just know that we really are in control of ourselves if we choose to, and take responsibility and accountability for that in whatever way we choose to express that.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah. When you said we want to control, the fear, that really struck a chord with me, because that also, like, say, where we're in a situation where we're in a toxic relationship and we want to control that relationship, and we're doing it by ignoring what really is going on, let's just say. And then the thing about that is, and I can speak to this truthfully, it's like, you ignore it, but then what happens, and you think you're controlling it in that aspect, which in you are technically, but what ends up happening is that fear comes out in different aspects of your life. It comes out in the belief of yourself, your career, your friendships, what have you. So I just want to bring that up, because, that controlling the fear is such a pitfall that folks fall into, and knowing that it is coming out, that energy is going to find its way to release in some shape or form in another area. It just is the nature of the law.
Totally. And Cindy, what I got from what you said is, like, there's a root cause to the to the fear. So you can leave a relationship or start a new career or move to another city or do all these things thinking that you're getting rid of all this fear. Like, look at me go. I'm so independent. I'm so fearless because look at me soar and roar in the world, until my personal experience, I landed flat on my face. You know, the universe just went, all right, girl, have you had enough? Have you got this yet? Like, you're not really getting to the root. Like, you're making the surface of your life look really good. Like on the outside, oh, don't it look pretty? You know, I was great at that. Like, I got this going on and I got that going on. And then underneath it was like, frick, shit's about to go down. And it did, which is great. I can give thanks and appreciation and, you know, thankful for the consequences and the repercussions and the learning and all of that. But what I was being asked to look at was the root of what is really going on here. Because it's not him, it's not her, it's not this, it's not that. I tried all of those things. I changed all of those things. And it's like, shit, it's still here. So I wanted to speak today about how we live in a generation and a society where we're inundated with information. There's a lot of information out there on how to get rid of fear, on how to step into your true power, on how to connect with the divine source, on how to, but if you don't actually do it, if you don't finally say like, okay, I'm ready, like I'm done, I'm really going to do this and I'm really going to commit to my life, to myself, to actually making a root change, nothing will change. You do have a choice. You do have free will. And it is up to you to make that choice, which I know the three of us have done that. We have done that and we help other people do that. So my message today is also, if you are genuinely ready to make that change, to actually abolish fear and massive amounts of self-doubt and lack of worthiness and deservability, please reach out. I mean, none of us got here alone. We all had coaches and teachers and mentors to do that. And I'm really, you know, putting myself out there saying, please reach out. I know for myself in my practice, I'm making it financially available for people that are struggling right now because I know it is a difficult time. No, you know, I've been to a lot of marketing schools, a lot of business schools, and charge your worth and make them. And I get that. And I needed to learn that lesson. And I do know my worthiness. And I'm also really willing to meet people in the middle. You know, I'm very sensitive to what's going on out there. So if you want to get a hold of me or any of us, I don't have a sales pitch. I'm not doing a sales call. I'll let you know exactly how it's going to look. There's no in behind and then this is going to be added. I genuinely want to help end suffering on the planet. I wrote that down on a piece of paper 10 years ago. It's like, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? Please just tell me. And I wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm here to help end suffering. So I say, pitter patter, let's get at her. I think it's time to end all the suffering on the planet and let's do this. Let's do this.
Well, I'm gonna chime in here. You know, I just remember when I was facing fear, one of those biggest moments of my life in my divorce, I was facing fear and I was at a place where I was so confused about everything in this gray area. So, you know, my words to you, listener and watcher, is if you're in that place of confusion, please reach out. Like Denise said, we all want to help. I offer a 60-minute complimentary talk session to help move you from confusion to clarity. And that is my offering to help end suffering.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Erica, what have you got going on, girl?
Well, you know, I just brought up something as there's a gift also in the gift of fear, is paying attention to that internal voice that we often just ignore, right? Is really being able to tap into our inner voice or inner wisdom that often just we don't want to listen to because we don't want to be judged, or we don't want to be seen as rude if we tell somebody no. But we have these little hits that we get, and I'm sure that I don't think I'm the only one here. When you have that little, the hairs on the back of your neck, or that just that voice inside of your head saying, don't go down that alleyway, don't go to whatever it is, right? But we have these little hits that we often ignore. And so I'm going to say, really listen to that voice. She's trying to tell you something. And I think that we often don't listen to it out of just because of our upbringing, our scripts, society, and what's polite and what's not. And I think we need to say, fuck all of that. And if there's something inside that's telling you, listen to me right now, take that advice and really listen to what your inner voice is trying to tell you. And part of that for me is when I'm speaking and talking with clients, I mean, it's coming back to what really moves you, what lights you up. But you have to come to a place where you have to be really honest and authentic with yourself first before you can really be able to show that into the world, right? So being able to find your authenticity and your pleasure, I always go back. I mean, fear of pleasure, it's yeah. I know this is not quite the time to talk about it,
but we're gonna
get an upcoming topic though.
That's another topic, and we could,
I'm like, I don't know. What are you guys doing next Tuesday? Next Tuesday, tune in.
Yeah.
Okay. We have our topic for next Tuesday.
We have our topic for next Tuesday, absolutely. But yeah. So I don't know. That's all I have to say about that right now.
You know what, Erica, though, what that brought up for me was that in this time, like, we want to say, we feel it's a time to get like so serious and try to figure everything out. And we got to heal the planet and stop all this pain. And we're just inundated with thoughts and the best gift that we can give the world, the best gift you can give the world or your family and yourself is to become more joyful, is to actually become more, do the things that give you pleasure, do the things that light you up, speak the way that lights you up and fires you up, regardless of what other people are thinking, because it's not about them anyway, it's about you. So if you really want to make a difference right now with what's going on, come back inside, light this person up, light this soul up, and watch what happens in your world. Watch the miracles that unfold. It will blow your mind, because I know my mind's being blown by my life right now. So blow it up, blow out your minds, light yourselves up. And that's what's going to bring out this change. Not talking about it. Talking about it won't. Talking will not. Getting more information will not bring the change. And you can be smart and you can know it all and you can give a million tips. Wonderful. But if you haven't lit this person up, it's just falling on deaf ears, right? It's not making that change. I'm out there. I'm done.
I was going to say that's a great place to wrap this up.
Drop the mic. Girls done.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week with another wisdom topic and possibly tapping into your sexiness. Let's see.
I think that's just going to be fun. Yeah. Let's
talk pleasure. Let's talk
pleasure.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. All right, you guys, I love you. Have a great week, everybody. And we'll be back next Tuesday. See you then. Bye.